It's time, Fort Wayne. Your sports, your station. It's the Sports Rush with Brett Rump. Covering all the topics that hit a nerve here in the Summit City.
Clark, 11 yards, touchdown.
Only on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. Now here's your host, Brett Rump.
The greatest, most interesting, most important person of all time.
You are incredible. Older than one. Yeah, well, you're half right.
What is this, amateur hour?
This is going to be huge.
I think this is going to be our finest round.
Just when I think you said the stupidest thing ever, you keep talking.
I think that's the worst thing I've ever heard.
That boy ain't right.
The simplest way to put it, I have problems.
Welcome to the alleged show.
Y'all having a good time out there?
Oh, yeah, here we go. We are back from a sports weekend. It is the Sports Rush, your daily local sports fix, 4 to 6. I am Brett Rump. He is Adam Lundy. We both returned after a nice, enjoyable break over the weekend, and we've got you connected on the Parkview Sports Medicine text line at 260-447-8500, 260-447-8500. Let us know what's on your mind. College basketball hitting the home stretch. Doesn't matter what level or what team. It is a huge time of the year for college basketball, and that is why we've got it covered with Don Fisher joining us. Our 15 Minutes with Fish comes up at 5:20, and we'll talk to Don about the big win by the Hoosiers over the weekend and what to expect out of the Oregon Ducks. Also coming up on the show, we'll talk state championship basketball with the Norwell girls basketball coach, Eric Thornton. How about it? They finally got that elusive state title. Back-to-back years playing for a championship down in Indianapolis. And I think if you ask almost anyone, the team last year would have been the one that if you put the two up against each other, you'd have thought last year's team had the better shot at winning state. And this year's team, something special about them. And they went on the run, and they knocked off previously unbeaten Greensburg and won themselves a Class 3A state championship. So we'll talk to the coach about how it all happened coming up here in 30 minutes or so. And again, we've got you connected on the Parkview Sports Medicine text line, 260-447-8500. Adam, I know you had an exciting weekend. You wrapped it up with a trip down to Indy.
Yeah, it was a full weekend of sports, my man. You know, Saturday we had high school hockey state
Championship
finals.
Day, wasn't it?
Championship, yes, sir. Shout out to the Fort Wayne Vipers also getting that 1A state championship over at the Ice House over Central Indiana. And then later in the day we had a game there between Purdue-Fort Wayne. The men played there. And then we had some Norwell girls basketball winning the state championship. So that was a fun Saturday. And then yesterday got to go down to Gainbridge and watch the Pacers take on the Bulls. So that was fun.
And the Pacers didn't just take on the Bulls. They whooped on the Bulls in that fourth quarter.
They did. Quite the fourth quarter.
Well, it was a pretty close game up until that fourth quarter.
It was.
Could have gone either way, but the Pacers took control of that game in the fourth quarter. They won it at home. Pacers trying to keep pace and get themselves a top 4 seed in the NBA playoffs in the Eastern Conference. All right, so you mentioned Saturday, all of the championship drama, of course. Over the weekend, Friday, Saturday, at NAIA semifinals, conference semifinals, and the WHAC and the the Crossroads League. And then you also had the finale of the regular season in the Horizon League. And Maria Marquesano's women's basketball team at Purdue-Fort Wayne took on Green Bay. Both teams were 18-1 going into the contest. It was at Green Bay. 3,500 crazy Phoenix fans showed up. They might have had 600 if they'd have played it here. But just relative to the successful program that has been built up there in Green Bay, they love their women's basketball. And, it's year in, year out. This is a team that basically is at the top of the Horizon League. And the Mastodons with a chance to kind of dethrone them. And, it comes down to a team that's been there, done that. They had confidence down the stretch. The Mastodons couldn't put it away. And even though the Dons had a 6-point lead with under 2 minutes left, they couldn't hold on. It ended up going into overtime. Green Bay wins it. And so Green Bay wins the regular season championship and the number 1 seed in the Horizon League tournament. The Mastodons, as the number 2 seed, will open play on Thursday night against an opponent still to be determined because they've got to wait and see who wins on Tuesday night to determine who they're going to play on Thursday night. There is a chance they might be playing their in-state rival, IU Indy, here at the Gates Center. But we do know it will be at the Gates Center, a 7 o'clock tip. Tickets are available. Hope the city comes out and supports this team like Green Bay supports theirs, because this team deserves it. What they've gone through, I mean, there's still a couple of players on this team. In fact, there's one that was on the one-win team. Amelia Broman-Schenkel was on that team. And then Maria Marquesano shows up, and in 4 years, basically through the freshman, sophomore, junior, senior class, you know, she developed a core group and put some pieces around them. And now here they are, one of the best teams in the Horizon League. A top seed, a number 2 seed in the Horizon League tournament, a chance to play at home on Thursday night. And if they get a victory, then they go down to Indianapolis to participate in the Horizon League championships. And a little programming note, if they win Thursday night, we'll follow them and have their radio broadcast of the semifinals and hopefully championship game from Indianapolis next week. But that was drama on Saturday. And then at night, we had 2 options for championship high school sports, because we had Norwell girls basketball competing down in Indianapolis. But we also had the Carroll Chargers hockey team playing in a Class 4A state title game. And they beat Culver 3-2 overtime. So congratulations to Carroll. Back to back, I believe, for Carroll.
Awesome, yeah. So 2 state finals, 1A and 4A for the Fort Wayne area. Good stuff.
Yeah, it was quite a Saturday. Now, for me, it was just a long, lonely, quiet bus ride home because the Mastodons lost to Cleveland State, but no Jalen Jackson.
Yeah, that's huge.
And that's, it obviously not knowing that till about an hour before the game, because up until that point, everybody thought, Jalen's going to be a way to figure it out. One of the toughest kids you'll ever meet, and he'll figure it out. But the coaching staff and the training staff decided that even if Jalen was willing to give it a go, it wasn't worth it, because all it would do is prolong his recovery, and the Dons won him at 100% or as close to 100% for the tournament. And they get the first round bye. They don't have to play on Tuesday, so they get a couple of extra days this week. They took the shot and held him out. They ended up losing the game, gave him the 5th seed. That means they've got to go on the road instead of play at home. But there's no guarantee the Mastodons would have won with Jalen. They probably would have scored more than 3 points over the first 11 minutes of the game, though.
You would think so. I mean, he's just such a cornerstone of the offense and how they run things through the offensive side of the ball. So definitely I think they would have scored at least 3.
Also going on Saturday, the Indiana Hoosiers out west. The Great Pacific Northwest, the PNW, as they like to call it.
Yeah, all those nice tall evergreen trees out there.
And the Hoosiers dominate Washington. Going to have to ask Don, what has happened to the Washington Huskies? That wasn't a bad basketball program, and now they just stink.
Yeah, they really kind of just fell off there.
I mean, Hoosiers just beat them up from the beginning, and Hoosiers raced out to a 44-30 halftime lead, held on in the second half. Solid performance from Luke Goody. He was 6 of 11 from the field, got left open for some good looks from 3, buried 5 of 9 from behind the arc, 18 points for Goody. Malik Renew had 22 points off the bench. He was 10 for 13 from the field, and 2 for 3 at the free throw line, added 6 rebounds, and the Hoosiers roll to a 78-62 win over the Washington Huskies. And now the Hoosiers get set for the Oregon Ducks coming up tomorrow night. And I really feel like the Hoosiers, one thing about Indiana, they have not gotten a bad loss all year. This would have been considered kind of a bad loss, but they have not had one. I mean, I think somebody mentioned it last week, and I had mentioned it before that Indiana was perfect in quad 2, quad 3, and quad 4 games. And they're still perfect in quad 2, quad 3, and quad 4. And now they've got, 4 or 5 quad 1 wins. So, they've they've certainly built a resume worthy of an NCAA tournament bid.
You'll be probably wanting to know that as of Friday, the latest Joe Lunardi bracketology already has them now as a last four in.
We this time of year, it's so funny. This guy's like an accountant.
Yeah.
Somebody that does your taxes and then you never hear from him for 11 months.
This is Lunardi character.
This is Lunardi's month from late February into middle of March, and then he just goes away. Once the NCAA says what they actually officially say, it's
back to personal finances.
See ya, Joe. Yeah.
But, so, I mean, that'll be updated again tomorrow, so that'll add the Washington win to the resume, and we'll see where they are now. But as of Friday with the Hoosiers, they are last four in and would be actually taking on the Oklahoma Sooners in a first four as 2-11s.
I think Indiana could lose this game tomorrow night against Oregon and still be in the field.
I think so, too.
I'm not sure if they have to have a Big Ten win, but some of that depends on the tournament.
Yeah.
But some of that will depend on who they play, because what they can't have is a bad loss in the tournament. In other words, get knocked out early and not look good doing it against an opponent that everybody expects them to beat. So I think they can absorb a loss tonight, but they have to beat Ohio State at home, and they should or need to, perhaps, with an asterisk, win a Big Ten tournament game coming up next week. Then I think Indiana can feel pretty comfortable that they're going to be part of the field. And even if they have to play one of those first four games where they're, the 11th seed and they're matched up against somebody and has to go to Dayton to play, that might be, but that's better than being left out. And so we'll see what happens. But tomorrow night, IU and Oregon can be heard on our sister station on WOWO 92.3 FM. Don Fisher, of course, will have the call. We will talk to Fish coming up. He is out in Oregon right now, and the Hoosiers, after the win over Washington on Saturday, they traveled to Oregon, and so he's just huddled up in a hotel room ready to talk to us coming up in our next hour. 260-447-8500, the Parkview Sports Medicine text line, 260-447-8500. You mentioned Norwell getting that win. How about the way they did it, though? I mean, they didn't turn the ball over. They played championship basketball, didn't turn the ball over, defended really hard. A Greensburg team that we talked about last week had so many different players that could score and could hurt you. And Greensburg came in undefeated, trying to cap off the perfect year with an undefeated record and a state championship. And Norwell claims the title on Saturday night. Great drama, and you had a chance to hear that game right here at 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. Always tough when state championship rolls around and I'm not talking. I'm listening. I like to talk, man.
You do. You like to be a part of the action. There's nothing wrong with that.
I like to be there. I like to have the responsibility of calling what's happening and just the energy and the vibe you get in a building of a state championship. But anyway, we had the broadcast for you here on Saturday night, so you had a chance to hear it. And coming up in about 25 minutes, 20 minutes or so, we're going to talk to Norwell coach Eric Thornton about that state championship victory. All right, let's find out what's happening in the world of sports. Get all caught up on this Monday. It's today's top headlines with Adam Lundy.
All right, thanks, Brett. Well, the Cincinnati Bengals have placed the franchise tag on wide receiver T. Higgins for the second straight year. Higgins announced the news Monday by posting on X/Twitter just the word tag. The Bengals later announced the move, stating they did so, quote, with the intent of continuing to work towards a long-term deal in Cincinnati with Higgins. According to the Pacers X/Twitter account, who cited the account Stat Mamba, the Pacers' two-time All-Star point guard Tyrese Halliburton became the first player in NBA history yesterday to record 500 assists in a season before recording 100 turnovers. So, clean, ethical passing of the basketball. One more for you today, Brett. Jimmy Johnson, who won 2 Super Bowls and a national championship as a coach, has announced his retirement from Fox Sports after being part of its NFL coverage for 31 years. The 81-year-old Johnson made the announcement today. Actually, you know what? I'm going to have one more for you. Call it a bonus update here. Florida State and Clemson will vote tomorrow on an agreement that would ultimately result in the settlement of 4 ongoing lawsuits between the schools and the ACC and a new revenue distribution strategy that would solidify the conference's membership for the near future. And those are your today's top stories.
It's going to happen once again coming up this Thursday. Any child K through 12 is going to get in free at the Gates Center. That's right, kids. You can pack up, head to the Gates Center Thursday night, and get in to see the Barbasol Horizon League Women's Basketball Championship quarterfinals at the Hilliard Gates Sports Center. Mastodons taking on an opponent to be determined. But for K through 12, it is free. So take the kids out and enjoy some tournament basketball. Pack the Gates this Thursday night.
Thursday night.
That's cool. That's cool. I love to have all those kids get a chance to witness big-time college basketball and not pay a dime for it. And at the Gates Center, you don't have to pay for parking. You don't have to pay a high price for concessions. I mean, there is no reason to stay at home on Thursday night.
No, it's already a good deal. And now families of 4, you're only paying for the parents and stuff like that if your kids are young. So great stuff.
And, of course, if you go to the women's game, you're going to want to remember your ear pods that night.
Yep,
so you
don't forget.
Put your little ear pod in, listen to how the men are doing while you're watching the women's game. Just a little technological heads up there.
Oh, yeah.
Got to keep you up with technology. All right. We'll take a time out. When we come back, we'll talk a little women's basketball, the men, what they're doing and how they're kind of backing into the tournament. But that doesn't mean a darn thing. And we'll talk about that. Also, Eric Thornton joins us before the hour is up. It's a packed Monday edition of the Sports Rush on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. You can always catch up with us by texting us on our Parkview Sports Medicine text line 260-447-8500. Also, we are on Facebook today. Hey, how about that? You can watch us. Now you can watch me. Somehow I'm the only one on the screen. Adam is hiding in the corner. But if you want to watch what we're doing behind the scenes, you can always see the show by going to facebook.com/1380 The Fan.
Absolutely. We love doing our live streams in there. We had a great crowd there on Friday night at our Parkview Sports Medicine post-game show.
I saw that. People show up when I'm not there, so yeah. I'm just going to let you guys go at it. That place was hopping.
It was jumping, man. Yeah, it was fun. We had a great time.
I saw every time during a commercial break, you're talking to people off camera to the left, then you're talking to people to the right, and I'm like, okay, this place is smoking, and I'm watching it because I watched the whole show. I had to have a few comments.
Oh yeah, got to get some.
Had to ask where the good-looking guy was that night.
Not there, unfortunately, but
that's why everybody showed up.
No, but we had some great, some Bishop Luers students there that joined us after the game, and they weren't on the team, but they were also athletic. They were participants in other athletics. So
you mentioned the letter jackets.
Yeah, it was fun to talk to them and see what they were into in athletics over there. But they enjoyed the game. Good stuff.
So the challenge is on for this Friday.
Yeah.
Because, hey, Wayne, we're talking to you. Luers showed up.
They did.
And so this Friday night, we will be at the Waynedale Pizza Hut. And plenty of room there for you. It's one of those that has the counter service, but yet
plenty of tables.
Yeah, they've got a number of tables that you can hang out.
A lot of booths.
So you could pick up a pizza and you could still eat it there. You just don't have a server.
Right, but they still have a small salad bar there. Same salad bar. It's kind of tucked off to the side, but yeah, same service, same tables, same booths.
Friday night, come out and see us for the Parkview Sports Medicine High School Basketball postgame show. We'll be covering all of the sectional semifinals this Friday night.
Absolutely, and if your kids out there are worried about your phone dying, I can confirm every single booth at that Pizza Hut has an outlet. So come on by and get your phone charged up.
At Waynedale?
Yeah.
Really?
Every single booth there has a outlet there. So if you need
that's like a good charter bus.
Yeah, it is.
There's two things every charter bus has to have. One is electrical plugs.
Yes.
So when you get on a long road trip, you can put in the laptop, you can plug in your phone, and the other is a good drink holder.
Oh, nice cup holder there, yeah.
Gotta have a good cup holder because you're gonna have a beverage. Because I noticed the one bus we had, and we won't mention which company, but the one bus that we took recently did not have drink holders. And I'm like, how do you not have drink holders on a bus? People are going to be drinking. And I was just drinking a soft drink, and I was at risk to spill. Just imagine if you're drinking a little more adult beverage.
Oh, got to be careful then.
Yeah, got to really be careful then. 260-447-8500, the Parkview Sports Medicine text line, or on Facebook, facebook.com/1380, The Fan. You know, the finale of the women's basketball season in the Horizon League did not disappoint. What a game. Purdue, Fort Wayne, Green Bay had this one locked in. Well, as soon as I got set up at the Wolstein Center for the Cleveland State Purdue Fort Wayne game, I had my laptop open, went right to ESPN Plus, watched the women's game, and just could not disengage. It was such a great contest, just a battle between two heavyweights. Did not disappoint. Mastodons had a 6-point lead, went to the foul line, a chance to make it 8, missed 2 free throws. Oof, that hurts.
Yeah.
You know, when you're taking on a team that's as good as Green Bay, that has the history of winning championships like Green Bay, you can't just try to beat them. You have to bury them when you have the opportunity. And the Mastodons had a couple of opportunities to really bury the Phoenix, and they left the door open. And the Phoenix are going to come right through. They attacked. They scored a 6-point run over the last minute and a half.
Yep.
And end up tying it to force the overtime, and it was pretty much Green Bay's game. They had control with a multiple possession lead through most of the overtime, and Green Bay wins it over Purdue Fort Wayne 68-63. Disappointed that they lost because so much was on the table. But what you also have to remember is it's only going to be another week, and this game will be completely forgotten, right? I mean, if the Mastodons win next Tuesday, if they get the opportunity to play Green Bay again, and there's still, some tough competition between now and then, but these two teams finished head and shoulders above everyone in the Horizon League, and you'd love to see them meet again because it was such a good game both times they've played. Mastodons won by a point back in December, and Green Bay and the Mastodons basically tied in regulation. So you don't get much closer than a 1 point and a tie in regulation over the two meetings this year. But the Mastodons, I think, will go into that game with a lot of confidence, a lot of determination, and trying to put themselves into that position another time because I don't think they let that lead slip away if they get another chance at it. And so sometimes you learn from those high leverage moments down the stretch where you didn't perform, and you learn how to perform better. And I'm sure that's Maria Marchesano probably has gone over those final possessions and what they could have done better, could have done differently. But what a game. Man, it was a fantastic contest. But, the Mastodons down the stretch, 2 missed free throws, a missed 7-footer. They turned it over, can't turn it over, and then just completely spaced out on a box out. The ball went up, and the Dons turned and looked at it, coming off the rim. Green Bay slipped inside, got the rebound, made a so all of the things you need to take care of, all those details, they kind of failed the Mastodons in the final 2 minutes, and that's how the game ended up being into overtime. But what a season. What a regular season. And now you got to put it behind you, and you just got to focus on 3 games in March. That's all it's about. And for the men, same situation, but a little different result here lately.
Yes.
Mastodons have lost 4 or 5. That's the reality. You can't change it. Okay, but the good thing is the regular season's over and you can close the chapter and you can go to the next section. And the Mastodons still have one of the top, most talented teams in the Horizon League. They just got to figure out a way to win 3 in a row. And that's the challenge to every team in the Horizon League. If you want to make the NCAA tournament, you've got to do it right now 3 straight times. And the Mastodons' first opportunity is going to be on the road. Then they go to the neutral site down in Indianapolis. But the road game is going to be a tough one because it's one of the only games all year. In fact, I think it's the only game all year where the Dons really got dusted.
Yeah.
And Youngstown State beat them pretty good in that second half. Dons had a couple of close ones on the road, but that was not one of them. They got beat by 21 points after being down only 2 at halftime. And they're going back to Youngstown State for a game this Thursday night. And we will have the broadcast for you at 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Did they have Mulder in that game against Youngstown State?
They did.
Okay. So I was just wondering if it was a thing of the bigs, because I felt like it was Youngstown State.
We could try to find an excuse. There's not one there, Adam.
No.
We can try.
I tried.
Not one there.
All right.
They, and they got dined.
They did.
And I'm not talking about eating.
No.
I'm talking about Gabe Dines, the 7-footer for Youngstown State.
He was good.
Six blocks in that game.
Yeah, so gotta get around him.
So, challenge accepted for Purdue Fort Wayne. They'll get ready to play on Thursday night. Hopefully, Jalen Jackson will be back. He missed the game on Saturday, the loss at Cleveland State, where, just to show the heart and the battle and the fight of this team, getting down 21-3 without Jalen Jackson.
Yeah.
And they didn't wave the white flag. They came back and ended up making it 41-40, got within a point.
Man.
Could not get over that last little bump.
No, but yeah, like you said, you do like to see the fight after that poor start.
So Macedon's Youngstown State on the men's side, and the women will find out their opponent on Tuesday night, depending on the outcome of the first round games. The Mastodons, of course, have a bye in the first round, but also, as we mentioned, really cool that the kids, K through 12, will be able to get in free to watch Mastodons women's basketball at the Gates Center coming up this Thursday night, 7:00 tip. Always great to have opportunities to see Division I basketball, especially quality Division I basketball. Let me just tell you, I don't care if it's men, if it's women. These are two good basketball teams, and you're not going to a second-rate product because you're seeing women's basketball, because women's basketball has changed so much over the years, and this is going to be a really fun team to watch. And I hope if they get down to Indy that a lot of local fans come down to support them down there, because both these teams would deserve your support should they get down to Indianapolis. And it's a short trip. And so you want to take advantage of that, right? Because how many years did we go through the Summit League and we said, the Dons' nemesis is the fact that they play these South Dakota State, North Dakota State teams, and they pack the arena with all their fans.
In the Dakotas, yeah.
In the Dakotas,
yeah.
Because they're playing in Sioux Falls. Well, Sioux Falls is like an hour from South Dakota State, and it's like 2.5 hours from North Dakota State. They pack the arena. We're only 2 hours from Indianapolis. We should be able to get some fans down there, spend a couple of days down in Indianapolis, and enjoy the whole atmosphere of Division I tournament basketball. March Madness, that's what they call it. There's a reason they call it March Madness, because it can be mad.
It can.
But we'll have coverage, by the way. If the women make it down to Indy, we will cover women's basketball as well right here on the radio. You'll be able to enjoy the women's games next week. I believe they would play on Monday at 2:30, if I'm not mistaken. But we'll have women and men. We'll follow them through the tournament here at 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. But since both the men and women play at the same time on Thursday, we'll have the men's broadcast from Youngstown State. Saturday night, speaking of broadcast, you had a chance to hear the Norwell Lady Knights get a state championship with a victory over Greensburg. Head coach Eric Thornton is going to be our guest when we return. Be sure to check us out right now at Facebook, facebook.com/1380 The Fan. We are streaming video style right there, so you can actually see the show. Also, you can text any questions, comments, or suggestions, 260-447-8500. It's the Sports Rush on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. Welcome back to the Sports Rush, your daily local sports fix, 4 to 6. Brett Rump, Adam Lundy. And don't forget, you can always watch the show today because we are streaming live right now at Facebook, facebook.com/1380 The Fan. Also, if you've got questions, comments, or suggestions, you can go to the Parkview Sports Medicine text line at 260-447-8500.
We're going to have our first phone guest on the Facebook stream today.
Is it?
Yep.
Okay. Well, it's a very deserving phone guest. In fact, he's almost earned a weekly spot on the show, the way they've gone through the tournament. And Saturday night, you had a chance to hear it right here at 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. The Class 3A state championship down in Gainbridge Fieldhouse, where the Norwell Lady Knights got the win over the Greensburg Pirates. Final score was 53-44. And, they bent, but they never broke. And that's the key to winning a championship. You just got to have that toughness to persevere, and they did exactly that. And Eric Thornton, their coach, joins us here on the guest line. And congratulations, Coach. You finally got one.
We got it, Brett. Thanks a lot.
It's got to be just personally satisfying. And I know you don't take any of the personal credit for this, but this is your program, and you've got your stamp all over it. 28 years, so much success. But the one thing that was missing in the trophy case, and I don't know if it was how much you thought about it, but the one thing that you didn't have was that state championship trophy, and now you've got it. How does it feel?
Well, it feels great. It's the first girls' championship, state championship of any kind, of any sport for Norwell. So we're very thankful for a lot of things, and we all wanted this. Everybody that's been a part of our program for all these years has really fought hard for this, and this is for all of them.
Coach, let's go back and kind of review where this season began, and it might have even started with the loss a year ago. When did you look at this team and who was returning? Because I don't think anybody outside your program would have thought, well, they got a great chance to come back and do it again next year. When did you feel like you had a legitimate opportunity to make another run at it?
I think there's a couple points that I can, think back to. The first one would be, after we go through our summer stuff in June, and we're playing really good competition and we're doing well against it. I think at the end of June, you have a pretty good feeling of what your team's going to be like the next year. I'd say the second point would be Coach Rod Parker's comments after we played them. We played them tough. We were very competitive. It was a great game. And, he told me after going through the line when we shook hands that he said, Eric, I think you might be better than last year. And that hit me. I tried my best not to compare this year's team to last year's team because we lost so much, and it's just not fair to the kids to do that. So we had to kind of make our own pathway here. Part of that pathway was to play really good teams like Homestead. And so when you battle there and you shake hands at the end, to hear that from opposing coach like Rod of a great team, it kind of hits you, and then you just try to get your kids to understand, hey, we're going through some tough games right here, and this is our ticket here, and just kind of stick with it. So those are a couple points that I go back to.
A lot of teams that have the talent to win state don't win state, and those teams that do often have some type of a trait or, an identity about them. And I'm just wondering if there's something that you can put your finger on with this group. Is it their competitiveness? Is it their chemistry? Is it, is there something about this particular group that made them special and gave them the opportunity to do this on Saturday night?
Yeah, I think our toughness really was not where it needed to be in order to win games, like a Greensburg type game. I don't think our toughness was there for probably 3/4 of the season or close to it. I think those are the trend that we saw was, we would play just poorly enough in key situations to lose by just a little bit against the best teams on our schedule. We're not just wanting to play good teams; we're wanting to beat good teams. And so, for us to be able to make a run like we did, it didn't really happen until the last part of the season, and we didn't really have a breakthrough win until our sectional championship win against Belmont. When you look back at our schedule, you see us playing well against a lot of good teams, but not winning those games against the best. So that toughness, I would call it mental toughness. Kind of keeping the foot on the gas and not taking a 3 or 4 minute stretch off where we just kind of lose our composure. That maturity really happened towards the end, and probably about halfway through January is when we saw it, and then it obviously has continued through the tournament.
Norwell girls basketball coach Eric Thornton joining us here on the Sports Rush. Coach, I got the box score right here. Teams are not supposed to win when they give up 19 offensive rebounds. How did you overcome that?
I think the key point is that, we were able to win the turnover game, and I think that neutralized some things for us. We have 7 turnovers compared to 19 for Greensburg. Greensburg is a team that averages 20 points per game on points off turnovers, and we just didn't allow that. We didn't give them anything easy. And those offensive rebounds, they converted some of them, but you have to do something with all of them in order to make that the big advantage that you want. So, for us, I was really proud of our kids for controlling the game offensively. I thought defensively, those turnovers were huge, and it prevented them from getting the kind of typical shots that they get.
Of course, you've got some girls that get a lot of the headlines. Vanessa Rossworm, who's been fantastic all year long. Macy Salfrank, and her ability to stretch defenses, and Addison Norris and what she's been able to do. Is there an unsung hero with this group? Somebody, sometimes it's even someone off the bench mob that just keeps the team entertained or whatever it might be. But is there somebody that we haven't spotted in the box score that's been a key behind the scenes with this team?
Well, I think our post kids don't get really any credit for what they do. We don't score a lot from our posts, but what we do is we prevent the other team from being able to penetrate through the gaps in our zone. So it's not something that goes on the stat sheet, but when you look at players like Olivia Green and Bella Swineford, when you look at that, Addison Norris you mentioned, but I will tell you, she was a bulldog the other night. That was the best game that I've seen her play, and she was not going to let us lose. So kids like Ashley Waldman, who've had big games throughout the tournament, got a couple nice buckets for us at the rim the other night. So, we don't have 4 kids in double figures like Greensburg did. But what we really do have is have a team that really focuses on doing the best job they can, with what they're responsible for.
How do you avoid, now that you've got that championship, how do you avoid complacency with this program? Do you have it in the tank to make another run?
Well, I think we do. The real challenge for next year is now we because of the success factor, go up to 4A. And so that in itself provides motivation and a higher level of play that we'll need to get to. Fortunately, we play those types of teams on our schedule anyways, and so we'll have that schedule built in. But, it'll be tougher these next 2 years and, focusing on just next year in itself. We'll be in 4A with our 700-some kids going up against, these big schools. And, there's going to be no excuses on our end that's the goal, that we'll have to do that, and that's the way the system works. So we'll have to get ready for that.
Well, and you've never shied away from the 4A competition. You've always played the toughest teams that were willing to play you. So it won't be anything new there. How do you celebrate now? What was your weekend like after you get back from Indianapolis, and now what's ahead for Eric Thornton, now a state championship coach?
Well, for us, we just had a great day of celebration yesterday with our community. Our administration, State Week is just a lot of work for them. And we come right back and turn around and have a 6 p.m. celebration last night where we invited the community. And so we had the whole one side, top and bottom bleachers, pretty well packed. And a lot of former players, current youth players in there, a lot of our feeder system coaches, and just community supporters. It was just tremendous. We had just a great hour together to reflect and thank people and recognize and so on. So I really appreciate our administration for how they really killed themselves all week. But you come off of that high, and you kind of ask yourself on Sunday morning, did that really happen? Did we? Yeah, we are. We're state champions. And, we're still riding that high now, but there's a time period to get away from it for a little bit and try to recharge. But we've still got our youth teams. Our 3rd through 8th graders are playing in here up to spring break. So we've got some things to finish, and then you go right into workouts twice a week here in April and May. So planning for the next cycle of everything that goes on every year with our program, and pretty soon we'll turn our attention to moving forward with all of that.
You talked about something with the community and celebrating with the community, and you're kind of in an interesting spot because you're in the middle of nowhere. There isn't a true, like if you look at the NE8, you've got East Noble, part of the Kendallville community. You've got Belmont, Indicator. You've got Huntington North and Huntington. I mean, most of the schools in the NE8 have a true, I guess, community center that's got a little higher population. You kind of attract people from all different areas, but mostly small towns. What does that mean to you to be able to bring those people together and make them all Norwell Knights for a night?
Well, our community is tremendous. The support we have is it's not normal. We'll play in front of home crowds that kids who go on to play college ball will never experience. It's a different type of community, and you're right that it's not just a single town. But the northern half of Wells County is they love their girls basketball here, and they've backed this team for many, many years. And it's neat to look back at the history here of 50 years of girls basketball. This is huge, in that history. And this team will be remembered for being the first girls team to win the state. And we've been close before. The community just continues to root for this program, and I'm just excited for everybody who's had their hands all over this championship. So it goes back a long ways. We're pretty proud of that.
You've built a real giant there in Norwell, and I'm just wondering, Coach, 28 years, the amount of commitment it takes to be a high school basketball coach. You got to be cut from a different cloth to be able to handle the year-round commitment that you have to make and the sacrifices that your family has to make for you to be a high school basketball coach. There ever been a time where you thought, when do I step away?
Yeah, I think you look at that every year. I've been told by coaching mentors that have a lot of wisdom that you'll know when it's time. And it's not that time yet. At some point, it'll become somebody else's turn, and I hope to be able to coach for a number of years more. I've got a 8th grade daughter that'll be a freshman next year, and but that's never been the goal of when she gets through, and I'm just going to coach until then. I think you just keep doing it, and you keep working with your youth. You keep things as good as you can, and you don't take anything for granted. So for me, there's no specific timetable, but I continue to enjoy it. And probably most importantly of all of that, Brett, is that my wife is still okay with me doing it. So that's a big thing, to have the support of my wife and my kids, and being able to you miss some of their things, and that's kind of comes with the job. But everything's been working so far, and I think it'll continue to be that way for some time.
Looking forward to talking to Vanessa coming up on Wednesday later this week. But congrats again, Coach. Really proud of what Norwell accomplished. Kind of I don't want to say a surprise run, but you managed to get what you haven't gotten in all these years, and I'm really happy for you. Thanks so much for taking time to talk to us.
I appreciate it, Brett. Thanks for your support through the tournament, and it's been great to talk with you about our team.
Appreciate it. That is Eric Thornton, coach of the Norwell Lady Knights, your Class 3A state champions. Left no doubt. They were the better team. I mean, they gave it more fight and won it in that second half.
Yeah, they looked great. Absolutely. And good talk there with Eric Thornton.
By the way, if you're a fan and want to go back and relive the game, we've got the podcast, our Fort Wayne High School Sports podcast page. We've got Norwell's semi-state game on there.
Yeah, we do.
We've got we've got both semi-state games. Yep. We've got the state championship game. So you can go back and you can relive the great moments of high school sports. We post every broadcast that we have for our high school sports, including our hockey state championship we had on Saturday morning.
Yep.
That's on our Fort Wayne High School Sports podcast page. You can access it by searching for it wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, or if you want to find it with a direct link, you can actually go to 1380thefan.com. That's 1380thefan.com, and just go where it says podcasts, and you'll be able to find it there. Big thanks to Eric Thornton. Coming up, we've got Don Fisher joining us in hour number 2. It is the Sports Rush on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.